Welcome. Today we're analyzing the sources on a figure who has, well, completely rewritten the rules of digital entertainment. We're talking about James Stephen Donaldson, who you almost certainly know as MrBeast.
And it's really the right time to take stock of his position, here in January of 2026. He's the most subscribed individual creator on the planet, just 27 years old, and commanding this enormous audience.
I mean, the numbers are just staggering. His main channel is #1 on YouTube, and if you add up all his channels, the total subscriber count is, what is it now?
It's over 459 million. The sources we have really detail this decade-plus journey, from a completely dedicated, self-taught teenager to a genuine global media mogul. And a philanthropist, of course.
And that's our focus for this session, tracing that journey. We want to look at the specific formula, the mix of obsessive dedication, huge financial risk, and just sheer spectacle that took him from his bedroom in 2012 right up to today.
Right. We're trying to understand how this became possible.
And to do that, we have to start by defining what he even represents. The sources keep bringing up this term, the MrBeastification of content.
Yes, and that's not just about spending a lot of money. It's a very specific style. We're talking high-paced videos all built around these incredibly elaborate challenges, massive giveaways, and very visible philanthropic stunts.
The key is the production value. It's almost at a movie level, applied to what used to be, simple vlogs.
It's the industrialization of virality.
Exactly. So before we dive into his biography, let's just quickly check in on where he is right now. We said he's 27. His personal life has been in the news a bit recently.
That's right. He announced his engagement to the streamer Thea Busin on New Year's Day 2025. The proposal was apparently on Christmas Day 2024.
And financially, Forbes consistently has him as the highest paid creator on the platform, which confirms he's moved beyond just being an influencer. He's a business leader whose power rivals, frankly, traditional media studios.
Absolutely. And to understand how he built this, you really have to go back to the very beginning. It's fascinating how early and how obsessively he started on this path.
So let's unpack those formative years. This is what really set the stage. Jimmy Donaldson was born May 7th, 1998. In Wichita, Kansas, but he mostly grew up in Greenville, North Carolina.
And the sources paint a picture of a childhood that was, marked by a complex family life. His parents, Susan Perisher and Charles Donaldson, were both in the military or worked very long hours.
Which meant he and his brother were often looked after by au pairs.
Right. And his parents divorced in 2007. This sort of fragmented upbringing, constantly being shuffled around, it might give some insight into that fierce need for control and structure that he later applied to his content.
His education was, well, a brief attempt at a traditional path. He graduated from Greenville Christian Academy in 2016. It's a private evangelical Christian high school.
He even played baseball there, an outfielder. After graduation, he did briefly enroll at Pitt Community College, but that didn't last long.
He dropped out almost immediately.
And that dropout decision, that's the real turning point. It leads directly to what he himself called an unhealthy obsession with cracking the YouTube code.
He dedicated 5 years, starting when he was about 14, to just relentlessly studying the YouTube recommendation algorithm.
The sources describe his life during this time as almost monastic. He said his schedule was just wake up, order food, and sit at his computer studying nonstop.
And he wasn't just watching videos. He was reverse engineering them. He and other small creators were analyzing thumbnails, titles, runtimes, retention graphs, everything. Like a data scientist.
And this commitment had a huge personal cost. His mother really disapproved of him dropping out of college for YouTube. She saw it as a total waste of time.
Which led to her forcing him to leave the family home in late 2016.
Exactly. So you see the stakes here. He basically bet his entire future on his ability to conquer that algorithm. That pressure must have been immense.
So looking at those early YouTube days, say 2012 to 2017, the path was anything but straight. He started the channel MrBeast 6000 in February 2012. He was 13.
And the content was pretty standard for that era. Let's Plays of Minecraft, Call of Duty. He also did videos estimating how much other YouTubers were worth, giving creator tips, that sort of thing.
He wasn't really on camera much himself back then. His first real bit of traction came from a series called Worst Intros on YouTube, around 2015.
Right, and that got him to about 30,000 subscribers by mid-2016. Which is a decent following, but it's a world away from where he wanted to be.
Then came the breakthrough. The moment that proved those 5 years of studying had paid off. January 2017. The video, I counted to 100,000.
And what's so significant is the sheer dedication. The sources say it took him 30 hours to do it, just sitting there, counting.
And to make the video watchable, he had to speed parts of it up just to keep the final runtime under 24 hours. The concept was so bizarre, so simple, but the effort was so extreme, it just took off. Tens of thousands of views, fast.
And that became the formula. Extreme, difficult, visually simple feats of endurance. He leaned right into it.
So he followed up with things like trying to break glass with 100 megaphones or watching paint dry for an hour.
Right. Simple ideas, massive commitment. But the sources do remind us that not everything worked. He tried a 24-hour challenge underwater that failed. Another one spinning a fidget spinner for 24 hours also failed.
So the lesson he learned wasn't just how to go viral, but how to build the content around a high-stakes premise from the very beginning.
And that takes us directly into the next phase, from 2017 to 2020. This is where he starts scaling up the stunts and, crucially, pivots to philanthropy as a content engine.
The move to what we now call stunt philanthropy was, well, it was almost accidental, but it was also incredibly strategic.
It was his first brand deal, June 2017, with an app called Quid. They gave him a $10,000 sponsorship fee.
And instead of keeping it, he just decided to film himself giving the entire 10 grand to a homeless person.
That one video changed everything. It created the blueprint for his entire business model. Use big brand deals not to get rich, but to fund these huge, emotional, and very shareable giveaways. The money became the fuel for the spectacle.
And by 2018, he'd already given away $1 million. That's when he earned the title YouTube's biggest philanthropist. It created this expectation with the audience, that any video could involve life-changing money.
And his influence started to spill out beyond his own channel. In 2018, he got deeply involved in that huge YouTube rivalry.
PewDiePie versus T-Series.
Right, and he didn't just make a video about it. He used his growing financial power to buy billboards, radio ads, TV commercials, all urging people to subscribe to PewDiePie.
That was maybe the first time we saw someone use traditional media to amplify a digital campaign on that scale.
Yeah.
And he took it to physical extremes.
The Super Bowl L3. He bought a bunch of seats just for his team to wear shirts that, when they sat in order, spelled out Sub2 PewDiePie. It was genius marketing.
As his fame grew, the content got more complex. He moved from individual stunts to these big organized competitions. In March 2019, he did a real-life battle royale.
The Apex Legends one. That was a collaboration with EA, the publisher. He offered $200,000 in prizes.
That format was so successful, it led to the Creator Games series. The first one was in April 2020, a live rock, paper, scissors tournament.
With 32 influencers and a $250,000 grand prize, and it just smashed records. It became YouTube's most watched live original event at the time.
How many people were watching?
It peaked at 662,000 concurrent viewers, and eSports pro, Nadeshot, ended up winning it.
He did another one pretty quickly after that, in October 2020, a trivia tournament for $300,000.
That one was a bit more controversial, though. The winners were the TikTok stars Charlie and Dixie D'Amelio, and there were a lot of claims from viewers that they had cheated.
And as the scale grew, so did the team. Around 2018, he started hiring his childhood friends. That became the core on-screen crew.
Ava Chris Tyson, Chandler Hallow, Garrett Ronalds, and Jake Franklin. But that lineup has changed over time.
Jake Franklin left in 2020. And Carl Jacobs, who was originally a cameraman, he got promoted to be on-screen talent.
And more recently, in 2024, Ava Chris Tyson, who was one of the original members, also left the crew. We'll get into the details around that a little later.
Okay, so let's talk about the engine. The actual content strategy that fueled this insane growth from 2021 onward. This is where those 5 years of study really, paid off.
He really does approach it like a scientist. The sources break his content down into 3 primary formats, all of them engineered for virality.
So the first is the pure stunt challenge, the shock value stuff, microwaving a microwave, that kind of thing.
Then there's the Junk Lord experiment. That's all about visual absurdity, using huge amounts of one thing, like building a house out of Legos or filling a pool with slime.
And the third, his main thing, is the large-scale giveaway, the extreme $500,000 game of tag, the life-changing money.
And the genius is how they all work together. The stunts get your attention, the Junk Lord videos are visually novel, and the giveaways provide that emotional, philanthropic hook.
But the key insight is that every single video is built to please YouTube's algorithm. The whole point is to maximize 2 things, click-through rate and viewer retention.
And his tactics are ruthlessly efficient. He's obsessed with simple, bright thumbnails. He once said he'd pay $10,000 for the best possible thumbnail idea.
The titles use those bold keywords, 24 hours, challenge, survival, to signal the stakes instantly.
And once you click, the hook is immediate. The goal is to introduce the entire premise and promise a huge payoff within the first 30 seconds. If you're hooked in that half minute, you're likely to stay, and the algorithm loves that.
But this kind of production demands a huge amount of money. By 2022, the sources say he was spending on average $1 million on each main channel video.
$1 million. And that funding comes from two main places: huge brand sponsorships and Google's AdSense revenue. The key is that the main channel videos are supported by the revenue from his cheaper-to-produce side channels, like the gaming and reaction channels.
It's a self-perpetuating cycle, right? Viral success means more AdSense revenue, which attracts bigger brand deals.
Which then funds even bigger video ideas. He stated clearly that he reinvests basically everything he makes back into the next video. The profit is the budget for the next spectacle. And this whole thing requires a huge staff now, over 250 people.
That scale led directly to just historic, record-breaking subscriber growth.
Let's just run through that timeline because the speed is hard to grasp. July 28, 2022, he hits 100 million subscribers. A few months later, November 17th, 2022, he gets the Guinness World Record for most subscribers for an individual male, finally overtaking Cutie Pie.
Who had held that title for almost a decade.
Right. But the really big one, the shift in the whole platform hierarchy, was June 2, 2024. That's when he surpassed T-Series to become the most subscribed channel on all of YouTube, 267 million.
And it didn't slow down. He was the first to hit 300 million in July 2024, and then the first to cross 400 million on June 1st, 2025.
He also holds other records, like being the first person to 1 million followers on Threads and the most subscribers gained in a single week. The momentum is just constant.
And that virality is probably best seen through a few specific videos. The November 2021 Squid Game video was a cultural event.
$456,000 Squid Game in real life. He got 456 real people to compete for that prize. It got 130 million views in its first week.
Now, that video sparked a lot of debate. Critics immediately pointed out that it sort of missed the point of the original show, its anti-capitalist message.
They turned a deadly serious commentary into this big, happy corporate spectacle. That was the argument. But what's interesting is that the actual creator of Squid Game, Hwang Dong-hak, said he reacted positively to it. He seemed to appreciate the scale of the production.
So there's a disconnect there. The audience knows it's a spectacle, but the debate about the ethics is still there.
Right. A more recent example was his 300 million subscriber special in July 2024. 50 YouTubers fight for $1 million.
This one really showed his pull in the mainstream. He had guest stars like Howie Mandel, Miranda Cosgrove, Joey Chestnut.
And it set a new personal record for him. It became his most viewed video in the first 24 hours. 71 million views right out of the gate.
That shift to mainstream celebrity is also clear from his collaborations with huge athletes. We're talking Cristiano Ronaldo, Tom Brady, Stephen Curry, Neymar, Serena Williams.
He's become a conduit to a massive audience that even traditional media struggles to reach. That kind of access is incredibly powerful.
And that power led him to expand his corporate empire into tech, gaming, and, maybe most visibly, food.
His move into mogul gaming was pretty smart. In 2020, he partnered with that art collective MSCHF for Finger on the App.
Just a simple endurance contest, right? Keep your finger on the screen as long as you can.
Deceptively simple. The first one lasted over 70 hours. There were 4 winners who each got $20,000. It was so successful they did a sequel with a $100,000 prize.
But the food sector has been his highest profile expansion. Oh. And it's been a story of huge success and some pretty intense legal drama.
Let's start with the drama. MrBeast Burger launched in late 2020. And it was a virtual brand, a ghost kitchen. That's a key detail.
So for anyone who doesn't know, a ghost kitchen lets a brand operate out of existing restaurants. They just license the menu and make the food for delivery. No storefront needed.
And this partnership with a company called Virtual Dining Concepts, or VDC, allowed for explosive growth. It expanded to over 2,000 locations worldwide almost overnight.
But the success didn't last. In 2024, Donaldson went public, saying he wanted to shut it all down.
His reasoning was quality control. He felt the food was consistently bad and that it was damaging his brand, which is built on, trust and high standards.
This led to a huge legal fight. In July 2023, he sued VDC. He alleged they prioritized growth over quality and weren't paying him his share.
And VDC hit back hard. They countersued him a week later for over $100 million. They claimed he was the one who breached the contract by publicly trashing the brand and hurting sales.
The whole mess just highlights how difficult it is for a creator who needs total control over their brand to license their name out to a huge distributed service like that.
Exactly. On a much more positive note, though, he launched Feastables in January 2022, the MrBeast bar chocolates. And this time, he kept much tighter control.
And the marketing was pure Mr. Beast. A huge Charlie and the Chocolate Factory style contest. Finalists competed in an event judged by Gordon Ramsay.
Right, and the winner could choose between getting a real chocolate factory or $500,000 cash.
And Feastables has been a massive success. The sources say it did $10 million in sales in just the first few months.
That success then led to another collaboration, Lunchly, a joint venture with KSI and Logan Paul, launched in September 2024. It's pitched as a healthier alternative to Lunchables.
Beyond food, he's also moved into finance and education. He partnered with Creative Juice to launch a $2 million fund to invest in up-and-coming creators.
He also became a partner in the fintech company Current, but that led to some controversy. He faced a lot of criticism when fans lost money in a crypto venture that he had endorsed.
That's a tricky area. It raises big questions about the responsibility these huge creators have when they're promoting volatile financial products to a young, trusting audience.
He also branched into more traditional media and education, a partnership with East Carolina University to create a YouTube course. He guest judged on Gordon Ramsay's show.
And looking ahead, he's writing a thriller novel with James Patterson, which is a huge crossover into traditional publishing. It's slated for 2026.
And all of this leads right into his major formal move into traditional television and the huge controversies that came with it.
The first step was pretty simple. In 2023, he launched a fast channel on Roku, just a streaming channel that played his old YouTube videos. Low risk.
The real test was Beast Games. This was a massive reality competition series with Amazon, which premiered on Prime Video in December 2024.
The scale was meant to be record-breaking. 1,000 contestants competing for a $5 million cash prize.
Which is the biggest single prize in TV and streaming history. The production reportedly broke 44 Guinness World Records while they were filming.
But financially, it was apparently a disaster for him personally. He said his $100 million deal with Amazon was a poor financial decision, and that he lost tens of millions on the series.
Which is strange because the show is still renewed for 2 more seasons.
But the money was quickly overshadowed by the controversy over how the show was produced. Contestants started coming forward with complaints of chronic mistreatment.
The allegations were pretty serious, people claiming they were denied basic things, food, water, medicine, even beds during the production.
And there were injuries. Several contestants were hospitalized. People were reportedly being carried out on stretchers.
Donaldson's spokesperson blamed what they called external factors, things like extreme weather, logistical problems, and they specifically cited the global computer outage caused by that CrowdStrike software update.
That's a fascinating detail. They argued that because communication systems went down globally, it created chaos for their logistics and their ability to track contestant safety.
But that explanation didn't stop the legal action. In September 2024, 5 former contestants filed a class action lawsuit.
And the suit alleged things way beyond just bad logistics. It included claims of sexual harassment, unsafe conditions, and even pressuring contestants to sign illegal contracts to help secure Nevada tax credits.
It really showed that when you move from the wild west of YouTube to traditional television, you're suddenly under a much higher level of legal and regulatory scrutiny.
Looking to the future, he announced another huge physical venture in November 2025, Beastland.
A temporary theme park in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, as part of their Riyadh season event. It's supposed to have rides based on his video challenges. It's another step in turning his digital IP into real-world attractions.
So alongside all this corporate expansion, we have to talk about the massive scale of his philanthropy. It's a huge part of the brand.
The main engine for that has been his collaboration with Mark Rober. Their first big campaign was Team Trees back in 2019. The goal was to raise $20 million for the Arbor Day Foundation. $1, 1 tree.
And the creator buy-in was huge. Over 600 creators got involved. PewDiePie, MKBHD, and big tech CEOs like Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey donated.
The result was they crushed the $20 million goal. As of June 2025, they've raised enough to plant more than 24.8 million trees.
But the sources do add an important note of caution here. A PBS report looked at one of the planting sites and found that the long-term survival rate for the trees can be a real challenge.
Right. After that, they launched Team Seas in 2021. The goal was even bigger, $30 million to remove 30 million pounds of trash from the ocean.
And again, it was a massive success. They raised over $34 million.
And most recently, Team Water in 2025. The goal this time was $40 million for the charity water aid.
To bring clean water access to 2 million people, they enlisted over 3,000 creators for that one. And they blew past the goal, raising over $41 million.
Beyond those big campaigns, he runs his own nonprofit arm, MrBeast Philanthropy. It's a dedicated YouTube channel.
And the model for that channel is very specific. All the ad revenue, brand deals, and merch sales from that one channel go directly to charity. It's his defense against claims that he profits from these acts.
And they've done a huge range of projects. Locally in Greenville, they gave away 10,000 turkeys. Globally, they've delivered shoes in Africa, built 100 wells for clean water.
The most viral projects, though, are the ones funding medical procedures. He's funded surgeries to help 1,000 blind people see again, 1,000 deaf people hear, and helped 2,000 people to walk again.
But despite the very real, tangible good that comes from this, there's always been this philosophical debate around his methods.
The charity-born criticism, the argument that he turns aid into a spectacle and that it doesn't address the underlying systemic problems.
And his defense is pretty consistent. First, he doesn't profit from the philanthropy channel, and second, he says his role is to provide immediate, tangible aid where governments are failing or too slow. He sees systemic change as their job, not his.
Okay, that brings us to the final part, which covers the many complexities of his personal life, public image, and the controversies that just seem inevitable with an operation this big.
First, his personality. He describes himself as an introvert, which is interesting given his on-screen persona. He says his focus on YouTube really limits his social life. He also deals with Crohn's disease.
And in his personal life, there was that strange detail after the OceanGate submersible incident in 2023. He said he'd been invited to go on that trip to the Titanic, but declined.
Which just shows the kind of high-risk, high-profile circles he moves in now.
Moving to the internal controversies. Beyond the food and the Beast Games lawsuit, there have been recurring claims about the working conditions inside his company.
Yes. Former employees have alleged a toxic work environment. An editor named Matt Turner claimed he was berated daily and called slurs. Another, Nate Anderson, quit after a week, citing just unreasonable expectations.
And Anderson said he received death threats from fans after he spoke out.
Right. Donaldson has rejected these claims. He says they have high standards, but it's not a toxic environment. He specifically noted that he paid Turner a bonus and helped him find another job.
The controversies have also touched his tech ventures. In June 2025, his analytics company, ViewStats, launched an AI thumbnail generator.
And the creator community was immediately up in arms. The tool could basically pull imagery from any YouTube channel and let you copy their style. Critics, like Jacksepticeye, called it a plagiarism tool.
It was seen as automating the theft of creative work from graphic artists. The backlash was so fast and so severe.
They had to pull the tool completely within a few days. It was a major misstep.
We also saw a cultural clash during a video shoot in Mexico in May 2025 at the Mayan ruins of Chichen Itza.
Mexican authorities accused him of exploitation. They claimed he filmed after hours, climbed on restricted structures, and promoted his Feastables products inside a protected archaeological site.
He insisted he had full permits, but the Mexican president even requested a review of how those permits were granted.
And the stunts themselves keep pushing boundaries. In September 2025, he released a video where a contestant went through a staged burning house to get $500,000.
Critics called it dystopian. He insisted extensive safety measures were in place, but you see that tension. The need to constantly escalate the stakes pushes him into these really contentious areas.
We also have to address the situation with the original crew member, Ava Chris Tyson. The company severed ties with her in July 2024 after public allegations of sexual misconduct were made by third parties.
Tyson denied the most serious claims, saying the split was mutual and that she'd only made bad, edgy jokes in the past. But the allegations were severe, so Donaldson launched an independent investigation.
And the results of that investigation, which came out in November 2024, are very relevant. The law firm they hired reviewed millions of documents and concluded the allegations were baseless. Their report said the alleged victims rejected the claims.
Now, in terms of his broader political and social views, he's very deliberately apolitical.
It's a strategic choice. He doesn't want to alienate his massive global audience, especially for his philanthropic work. He's joked about running for president in like 20 years, but he walks that back pretty quickly.
He has expressed support for Elon Musk, however. The more significant shift has been in his religious views. He was raised in an evangelical Christian home, but he now identifies as an agnostic theist.
And he specifically said this shift involved rejecting the anti-LGBTQ rhetoric he was taught growing up. That's important context because sources confirm he used homophobic slurs on Twitter as a teenager. His spokesperson later said he had grown up and matured.
And his public support for Ava Chris Tyson's gender transition in 2023 really demonstrated that shift. He wrote, "All this transphobia is starting to piss me off."
Finally, you just have to acknowledge his influence on the entire YouTube ecosystem. His success has fundamentally changed how top-tier content is made.
Absolutely. He accelerated the move away from simple vlogs to these huge, high-budget, hyper-engineered productions. A lot of creators now feel they have to adopt that same model just to compete.
And it's all held up by this very carefully managed public image. A poll in 2021 gave him a 70% favorability rating. His persona encourages this really powerful parasocial relationship with his young audience, which makes the brand incredibly resilient.
So if we synthesize all of this, we've tracked Jimmy Donaldson's path from a data-obsessed teenager to the head of a multi-billion-dollar global brand at just 27. He's juggling these huge, often messy commercial ventures, the failure of MrBeast Burger, the success of Feastables, the legal issues with Beast Games.
While at the same time leading these unprecedented global humanitarian and environmental campaigns like Team Trees and Team Water, his unique talent is leveraging the extreme costs of entertainment to fuel extreme philanthropy. But operating at this scale means he's constantly balancing creative freedom with legal scrutiny and ethical demands.
And that relentless pressure leaves us with a final thought for you to consider. The whole MrBeast model depends on perpetually escalating the stakes, the spending, the spectacle, just to hold our attention. So given that need for constant escalation, what does the next level of viral entertainment and philanthropy even look like? And can that pace be maintained without blurring the lines between harmless fun and real-world, sometimes dangerous, consequences even further?
It's a profound question, really, for the future of the entire creator economy.
Thanks for listening.